like to call this meeting of the Clay County Commission to order. We will start with our invocation. Administrator, I'm sorry. Not a very good way to start.
Please join us in an attitude of prayer. God in heaven, we in this chamber give thanks for the blessings of this county and for the skill and dedication of those laboring for the common good. We ask that you guide and direct our meeting so that it's full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. Thank you for helping us to accomplish our work and goals this day. Amen.
Please stand for the pledge. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Nolte.
Here.
Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Here.
That brings us to approval of the agenda. Is there a motion related to this evening's agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Motion has been made for the approval of the agenda. Comments or questions?
No discussion.
You're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Yes.
That brings us to meeting schedule. Administrator?
Yes, the next meeting of the commission will be Wednesday, May 18th at 3 o'clock here in the chambers.
Thank you. There are no honorary resolutions, there are no discussion items, nor are there any public hearings this evening. That brings us to our consent agenda. Is there a motion related to the tonight's consent agenda?
Commissioner, I move that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Motion has been made for the approval of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
Thank you. I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
That brings us to this evening's regular agenda. The first item on this evening's regular agenda is 2022-154. Administrator?
Yes, resolution, 2022-154 is a request by the property owner at 5950 North Oak Traffic Way in Gladstone for the waiving of interest and penalties in the amount of $1,031.99, which is for taxes or interest and penalty for both 2020 and 2021. The county assessor is here and also our collector that can provide information to the commission.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Tracy Baldwin, Clay County Assessor. There's a couple of statutes I'd like to point out to the commission before we get started. The first statute is all real estate taxes become delinquent on January 1 of the following year of their assessments. The second statute, penalties and interest began accruing after December 31st of the tax year. And then the last statute I'd like to point out, failure to receive this notice is not a defense of charges for penalties and interest. However, no penalties or interest will be assessed if the taxpayer shows clear and convincing evidence that the county made an error or omission in determining the amount of taxes owed. So the error here in the amount of taxes due errs in mailing address on the taxpayer's declaration or in the tax rate submitted by the taxing entity is not an error to determining the amount of taxes due. With this one, I guess I'll open it to questions. We did receive a return letter from the original tax statement in 2020 from the U.S. Postal Service. We currently don't change addresses with that address because it's not a verified address. The only way that we'll change an address currently is from the taxpayer itself or from a deed. So the reason we actually implemented this late last year. When we received this USPS forwarded address to us, there was an actual typo made in the numbers. But again, that has no bearing on whether the taxes are to be paid or not, and I refer you back to the statutes on that.
Okay. Are there any questions of the assessor?
No questions. Thanks.
No questions, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Certainly, if the applicant is present, they're welcome to testify. All right. If there are no more comments, then we will proceed with, I'll entertain a motion for 2022-154, and I would remind the maker of the motion that they should indicate that one of the boxes be checked when they make their motion, either approves or denied. Is there a motion related to 2022-154?
I'll make a motion that the commission moves forward with checkmarking the denies the request for waiver and fees.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2022-154, with the box denies checked. Discussion?
Just that I appreciate the assessor and, excuse me, I don't have this on. That I appreciate the assessor's comments, and that I think the decision is pretty clear, and I support the motion. So, thank you.
Very good. If there is no further comment, you're recognized to close, Commissioner.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
That brings us to 2022-142, Administrator.
Yes, Resolution 2022-142 is consideration of a term and supply contract for tactical vests for the Sheriff's Department. Staff is here if the commissioners have any questions.
Certainly, we heard this last time. If there is not any new information, I would ask if the commissioners have any questions or comments at this time.
No questions, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
In that case, I certainly would entertain a motion for 2022-142.
Commissioner, I move that we approve 2022-142.
Motion's been made for the approval of 2022-142. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
That brings us to 2022-163. Administrator?
Resolution 2022-163 is consideration of the utilization of ARPA funding for inmate clothing and cleaning supplies for the detention center for the Sheriff's Department. This is an amount of $75,000 of ARPA funds. It has been reviewed as an eligible expense by the county auditor, and staff is here to answer any questions you may have.
If staff does not have any new information, I would ask the commissioners if they have any questions or comments at this time.
No questions.
No questions.
Is there a motion related to 2022-163?
I'll make a motion to approve 2022-163.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2022-163. Discussion? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
That brings us to the grouping of resolutions 2022-156, 157, 158, 159, and 160. Administrator?
Yes, resolutions 2022, 156, 157, 158, 159, and 160. While they are individual resolutions, they are similar in nature, and they are approving requests for ARPA grants for municipalities. You will see that there is a resolution 2022-156 is for the city of Kearney in the amount of $850,000. For the city of Gladstone, they have two projects for the amount of $1.8 million. There's also a companion resolution on the agenda, which is simply just moving funds in the ARPA fund from one category to another to accommodate the request. Also, there is Resolution 2022-159 is for the City of Liberty. They have three projects, and the total ARPA funding request for grant is $1,880,000. And the last resolution for consideration is with the City of North Kansas City in the amount of $700,000. And the county auditor is here to provide additional information, and I believe we have representation from the municipalities also in the audience.
The way we will proceed then is we will go through these and hear from them each in their turn, and then we will vote on them as a group. However, if a commissioner would like to separate one from the group to be voted on and considered separately, that will certainly be in order. Just let me know. But apart from that, we will just vote on them as a group unless there is any concerns raised by either commissioner. With that, Mr. Auditor, please proceed.
Yes, Victor Hilbert, Clay County. I don't have anything to add. I think the Minister covered everything, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Does anybody have any questions of the auditor? We'll go ahead and take these one by one, and then, Mr. Auditor, you'll be here, of course, if we have any additional questions. We'll begin with the request from Kearney. If the person from Kearney here, the representative from Kearney, would like to make any comments, we'd certainly welcome to hear them.
I really didn't have any additional comments from last week, but we want to thank you for your consideration today.
Very good. Thanks. Questions or comments from the commission?
Just thanks for being here, and really excited to move these projects forward with each of our municipal partners today. I think a lot of good work's going to get done, and glad the county can partner with you all. Thanks.
Thanks. Mr. Thompson?
Same. I'll keep it short tonight.
Ditto.
Yes.
Very well. If there are no further comments on the request from Kearney, that would bring us to the, 157, which is Gladstone. Yes. I'm sorry, the paperwork looks a little bit different here. Yeah, the Gladstone request for $1 million, I believe. Am I right on that?
The request, actually, that resolution is for $1.8 million. It's the following resolution that we're moving funds, and we're moving $1 million to accommodate one of their projects.
Sorry, I skipped down one. Thank you. So that brings us to 157. Are there any questions or comments from the commission?
Not for me. Thank you.
That brings us to 158, which is the Gladstone. Thank you. Would the person from Gladstone like to make any comments?
Thank you, Presiding Commissioner. Scott Winkerson from Gladstone. Just wanted to thank you for your support in this process, and the administrator and the auditor for getting us to this point. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions or comments?
No, thank you.
No questions, thanks.
Thank you very much. That brings us to 159, which would be the request from Liberty. Is there anyone from Liberty who would like to speak on this point?
Thank you, Commissioners. Andy Knoll, City of Liberty. I want to take this moment to say thank you for giving us this opportunity. We really think these three projects will help with quality of life of the community. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Seeing none. That brings us to the request from North Kansas City. Is there anyone from North Kansas City who would like to say anything on 160? Seeing none. Questions or comments from the commission?
Not for me. Thank you.
Seeing none, is there a motion related to 156, 157, 158, 159, and 160?
Commissioner, I move that we approve 2022-156, 157, 158, 159, and 160.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2022, 156, 157, 158, 159, and 160. Discussion? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
That brings us to 2022-143.
Resolution 2022-143 is approval of consideration of an agreement with Passport Service Offering as a master agreement. This is support services for our point-of-sale software that is utilized at Canton Branch and also Paradise Point. Staff is happy to answer any questions.
Is there any new information to be presented to the commission at this time? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the commission?
No questions. Thank you.
Is there a motion related to 2022-143?
I'll make a motion to approve 2022-143.
Motion is made for the approval of 2022-143. Discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
That brings us to 2022-149.
Resolution 2022-149 is the reappointment of Mr. Driscoll to the Board of Equalization. The term shall expire on December 31st, 2024, and I do believe that Mr. Driscoll is in the audience.
Would Mr. Driscoll like to make any comments at this time? Very good. Not necessary. Just want to make sure you have the opportunity. Is there a motion related to 2022-149?
Commissioner, I move that we approve 2022-149.
Motion's been made for the approval of 2022-149. Discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
That brings us to 2022-150.
Resolution 2022-150 is appointments to the Planning Commission. Mr. Michael Brinkley is a new appointment, is filling an unexpired term, which will expire on January 31st, 2023. And the reappointment, I'm sorry if I get his name incorrectly, David Rodas, whose term will expire on January 31st, 2026. And I do believe Mr. Brinkley is in the audience.
There you are. Would you like to make any comments? Very well. Are there any comments or questions from the commission on these appointments? Very well. Is there a motion for 2022-150?
I'll make a motion to approve 2022-150.
Motion's been made for the approval of 2022-150. Discussion? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
That brings us to 2022-151. Administrator?
Resolution 2022-151 is the appointment of members to the Children's Services Fund Board. It's a reappointments of John McGovern, Deborah Herman, and Bruce Cully. These reappointments terms will expire on December 31st, 2024.
Thank you. Are any of the applicants present or anyone wishing to speak? I see none. Is there a motion related to 2022-151?
I move that we approve 2022-151.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2022-151. Discussion? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
That brings us to 2022-155. Administrator?
Resolution 2022-155 is appointment of members to the Workforce Investment Board. Kirk Davis is a new appointment whose term will expire May 30th, 2024, and the reappointment of Tony Reinhardt, whose term will also expire on May 30th, 2024.
I don't see either of the applicants present. Anyone wishing to speak on this? Seeing none, is there a motion related to 2022-155?
I'll make a motion to approve 2022-155.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2022-155. Discussion? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
That brings us to comments on non-agenda items. Are there any members of the public who would wish to comment this time on any non-agenda items? Seeing none. Are there any office holders or agencies who would like to comment on any non-agenda items? Again, seeing none. County Administrator, would you like to do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I have no comments this evening. Thank you.
Very well. Are there any comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Thompson?
No comments today, thank you.
Commissioner Carpenter?
No comments. Thank you.
I would just like to say it's too darn hot. That's my comment. There are no minutes of previous sessions to be approved. Are there any written reports for the commission?
Not today, thank you.
No written reports for the commission. There are no executive sessions scheduled for this evening. That brings us to recess and adjournment. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.